Hey everybody, Christopher here.
Hey guys, Noah here.
Tonight we're talking about our Bill Manor When Timelines Collide series. And since you've done all the editing on this, you probably know more about this than I do, so I'm going to let you start.
Yeah, I would say that probably after all the editing that I've done, I've probably watched those about 50 million times. So, yeah, it's kind of like I know it like the back of my hand. The other thing too, though, that's like an interesting thing. So, believe it or not, like I've actually only watched the finished episodes really only like once, maybe twice at the most. And so what's funny is that the amount of editing that I've done, there's a lot that's in my head about the episodes, and a lot of times I can't remember, oh man, was that in the final cut of the episode, or was that just something that I saw 50 times while I was editing the video? So that's going to be interesting too as I talk about things. Either you're going to be like, that wasn't in the episode, or you're going to be like, oh yeah, that was in the episode. So I try my best to separate the two, but it is hard at times. For the most part, I pretty much remember exactly what I did put in the video. But that's what this podcast is about. We're going to be able to talk about some of the behind the scenes things. Speaking of which, this needs to be talked about because from an editing standpoint, it was a pain in the ass at times. This episode, and it was all user error. It was all user error. Um, which it's something I'm getting better at. You know, with since Crooked Path has started, which hasn't even been 3 months yet, we're getting better on every standpoint. You know, we're getting better in the filmmaking process. I'm getting better in the editing process. I'm still really new to that, considering that I only started editing on our first video, which wasn't even 3 months ago. So I'm still fairly new to the whole process. So I like where I'm at in that process, but I know I can get even better. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But so if you notice on Bill Manor Part One that there are only two camera perspectives in that video, and that is the one that my dad is holding. I had like a little rig that we had made up when we were filming with my phone there, and my dad was holding it, and then there was a stationary camera that we'd set up in the corner of the room that we were mainly in for that video, and there was a camera that I was holding that pretty much had a straight on shot of Christopher the entire time. And you probably noticed and probably asked yourself at one point, man, I've never seen a shot of like Christopher just straight on from that camera that Noah's holding. And that is because that camera had absolutely zero audio. And I'm not even 100% sure why it didn't, because so the cameras that we have that we use, they came with a standard microphone that came with it whenever I bought it. And apparently that is the only microphone that can be used with that camera at this time, unless there's a more technical reason as to why no other microphones work, because I had a separate microphone that I wanted to use that I had purchased previously before, because it's supposed to be like a pretty good quality microphone. And so I plugged it into that camera. And what was cool about it was that whenever I plugged it in the way you're supposed to plug it in and everything, and it was all the right ports, I looked that up and everything. Everything was supposedly the way it was supposed to be. And even the little microphone icon on the camera shows up. So I'm sitting there like, okay, we're good to go. No, it wasn't. Because whenever we finished the entire investigation and I went home and plugged in all of the footage, I went to that camera footage and there was no audio. And I was like, "Oh my god, what am I going to do?" So for part 1, I was like, I'm just going to go between the camera that my dad had on me, and then we're going to switch to the other camera that pretty much got everybody. So we'll make that work. So keep that in mind, because then when you get to part 2, and it's so all of part 2, when you get to Bill Manor part 2, any shot of Christopher that is a straight on shot with the infrared camera, that is the audio that you hear is not that camera's audio. It is actually a different camera's audio that I had to basically try and perfectly stitch between that audio and the video. So what I would do is I would sit there and I would find the audio that I needed to use, and I'd wait until you were getting like basically that breath that I could hear you take before you speak, which everybody does. So I'd wait for the breath right before you'd speak, and I'd stop it. Then I'd go to the video, and I'd literally be staring at the screen like this, watching your lips, like trying to lip read, and it's not something I'm really good at. So I'm like sitting there staring at it, and I'd finally find the point where I'm like, oh, that's where he said it. That's what he's saying. So I'd again stop it right before you're getting ready to speak, and then I try to stitch the two together. And I think it turned out pretty good because I don't think you can really tell that it's not that camera's audio.
I would have never known had you not said anything. I
Right.
would have
So
never known. It could have been horrible. It could have been like a badly
I know. I'm not
re-subtitled foreign movie or something where the
right.
the words don't match up.
And I was so scared of that possibility, and I was like, I didn't say anything to you about it until Bill Manor Part 2 was already out, because I was like, I'm not about to be the bearer of bad news if this turns out horribly. So I was like, let me see what I can do first, and then if it turns out bad before I post it, I would have let you know. But I was like, I really don't think you can tell. So that was where I was like, I'm gonna post it, and I'm going to see if you say anything, which you didn't. So I was like, all right, cool. I don't think you can tell. And then luckily for part 3, there are some points in the video that it's not the audio, so I had to do the same thing. But there's also a lot of parts that you can. Like, for instance, when we're doing the Estes method in Mary's room, that point I didn't have to do that because the camera angle that I chose was the one that had the audio with it, which made my life a lot easier. And plus that was just the better angle because we had two different cameras. One was pointing pretty much directly onto you, and then the other one was kind of to the left of you, or no, I'm sorry, the right of you, the left of me. And that one I didn't quite like the angle on that one anyway, so I just didn't use it. I didn't think it was quite a good angle, so I didn't have to use it there. But there was still some parts in part 3 that, like, this specific camera that I had to use didn't have any audio, so I still had to stitch it together. But I think it ended up turning out well for what it was. But I can also say in the next movies that haven't come out yet, but I'm beginning the editing process for, we don't have that problem. I have double checked on everything that I've even started whenever we go to shoot a video, I'll do that quick like little testing, test 1, 2, and then I'll replay it just to make sure the audio was there. I'm like, all right, cool, we're good. Because now I'm super paranoid about it.
Well, you did a great job with it. I think everything you've done so far has been fantastic. And honestly, I can see growth between 1, 2, and 3. I can see how you're already progressing.
I appreciate that. That actually does mean a lot to me. Because again, like, that's the side of this content creation or investigating that I'm very, very new to. As far as like the actual investigating, you know, yeah, I've got a little over 2 years experience in actually investigating. Now, dealing with spirits, that's obviously much, much longer, and that's like, 15 plus years at this point that I've been dealing with spirits. But um as far as the actual investigating, I've got a little bit more time under my belt of doing it. But this side of things, as far as like equipment and editing and filming and stuff like that, that's where I'm still very, very new to it. So it's one of those things that, like, yeah, I mean, it's definitely like there's some growth that is needed, but at the same time, like, I think it's going along well, and I hope everybody else enjoys it the same way that I enjoy making it. I really do. I enjoy the filming, I enjoy the editing, and I think it's just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger from there. So I hope everybody feels the same way that we do about it.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, but yeah, the Bill Manor was such a crazy investigation, and I just want to throw something out there, and this really was meant to be its own topic, but I've had a few questions asked about it, and I feel like now is kind of like maybe the best time to do this. Because technically, the Bill Manor wasn't going to be our first episode, and that was going to be Egypt Valley, as we promoted it on TikTok and Facebook and everything, and people have been wondering why that isn't up, and I'm going to go ahead and say it today. This is again a user error. This was something that I screwed up, and I got to own up to it. Um, the Egypt Valley episode that we shot will never see the light of day. The footage that we had from that is completely gone. Um, Essentially, what happened was when I went to go edit that video, and again, I was so new. It was the very first video I had ever edited and tried to export and everything. So whenever I had the entire movie completely done, I had the whole thing done. It took me about, I think I had around like 56 hours of editing into it. Again, this was mostly because I was like really trying to learn the program and stuff. And so I had about 56 hours of editing into it, and I went to go publish it. I was going to publish it on YouTube. Well, there was a lot of things that I didn't understand with formatting it and exporting it and stuff like that. So when I went to export it to YouTube, and I actually had it on YouTube as a private video for about a couple hours, and I don't understand why. I mean, I do, but I don't. Whenever I went to export it and format it, something happened in the sense that when it exported to YouTube, a lot of the audio was gone. There'd be clips where like it would be going along, it'd be going along fine and everything would be great. And then all of a sudden there would be clips like you'd be talking and I can see your lip stream, but the audio's gone. And then it'd cut back in and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like what's what's wrong with it? So I ended up deleting the video from YouTube because I was going to try to re-export it and everything, and that's when I started looking up like how to solve the issue. And this is where I learned a really big life lesson. And if you don't know how to do something for sure, don't go messing with stuff that you don't know how to do because you're going to end up messing it up. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up messing up my computer when because I was trying to free up some space because I like my whole computer space had been like taken up, and so I was like, okay, I need to get rid of some stuff, and I ended up messing up the computer to the point where it basically went back to original factory settings. And so I had lost everything that I had, the footage, the edited video. I lost everything that was on that computer. And I didn't say anything. First of all, I was like really upset with myself and the whole process, and I really struggled with that for a little while. And you really helped me in that sense of like, hey, like we're new to this, shit happens.
Shit happens.
Yeah, it'll be okay. So you really helped me in that, but I was really beating myself up about it for a while. And so I didn't want to say anything at first because I started contacting some people and they were like, "Well, there's a possibility that like you can get all of that footage back and just re-edit the video." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm going to look into that." And unfortunately, I contacted a few people and they looked at the computer and stuff like that, and for what happened when it did it, there was no recovering those files. They were just gone, never to be found again. So unfortunately, I have to be the bearer of bad news in that sense of like anybody that was really looking forward to that Egypt Valley video. I'm sorry, that video is not ever going to be out there just because it doesn't exist anymore. But I will say that we are going to do a full podcast episode at some point talking about what happened that night because we are going to be returning like it so it won't be the only time that we go out to Egypt Valley. We're definitely going to do some more work out there, so this time it's gonna go much more smoothly, but we're definitely going to talk about what happened. I also kind of wanted to get some movies and stuff out there so that way it's kind of like we'll get some good stuff out there so everybody starts feeling good about what we're doing, and then I'll rip off the Band-Aid like, oh yeah, I got some bad news. But I think I think it's went well since then. I've definitely gotten the hang of how I need to edit the videos and how I need to export and format those videos, because since then, and learning my lesson about that, I haven't had any sort of issues in it. So now I think we're at a point now where I've got the hang of that side of things. So I'm more confident in that. And we do have a lot, like, I'm not going to give away too much because there's some really cool things that happen from this point on, but there's some investigations that we've done since the Bill Manor that they're going to be some really good movies. I really think that, because the content that we filmed was so cool. So now it's just on the pressure of making sure that I edit it to look good.
You'll do fine.
But yeah, I wanted to get that out there so we could, clear the air on that, and something was said about it. Um, which again, I have to apologize to everybody out there that was looking forward to watching that video. I was really excited to have you guys see that video, and unfortunately, it didn't work out the way we planned, but we're gonna make up for it. It'll be okay. But I just want to get that out there so we can kind of get the bad stuff out there, and now we can just talk about the good stuff.
Hell yeah.
But I know that, like, right before we clicked on here to do this, I think a story that we don't really get a lot of explanation into in the video, and I think this is a you thing that I think everybody is going to be interested in hearing, is the story about Mary Tillotson from the Bill Manor, because I know in the video, I think you mentioned in the video that she's not actually at that house. She's
Correct.
from somewhere else. So I think that is mentioned in the video, but I don't think there's any sort of explanation as to why she's not there. So I think everybody's going to be interested in hearing that. Again, I'm trying to be careful in what I say and how I say things and what I don't say, because again, there are certain things that I can't remember. Was that in the final cut, or am I just like, because I know off camera we talked about it a little bit, but a lot of that is cut just simply because when I'm making the movie, it's like there's obviously the things that you see on camera are the things that I basically thought for telling the story of the Bill Manor episode. This is the stuff that's really needed, and then the other stuff that I didn't put in is kind of like, it's not quite as needed, or every video is going to be like 2 hours long, and it's like we can't do that. Like,
Right.
people are going to lose interest if the videos are just super long every time. So I figured I tried to do the best. So sometimes I can't remember. It's like, was that just something that I'm remembering because I saw it 50 million times while editing, or was that in the final cut? But I think you mentioned it, but I don't think it's explained in the video.
I don't think I said much about it. So when we were there filming this, that was actually my 5th time there. The first time I was there, one of the first things I noticed in walking in was that memorial stone in that glass display case with her name on it. And I asked how she fit in to the house's history. And what was believed at the time was that she was the mother of the woman who had run the group home there in the 70s. And my gut was saying, I don't think so. I don't think that's right. Plus, with the dates on her stone having been born mid 1800s, I'm like, that just does not feel right. So I kind of let it go that first night. And I just wasn't getting much. Not much activity. It was quiet. Quiet until I went to bed. I made the mistake of sleeping upstairs in the hallway at the top of the stairs.
Right.
At some point, I had to get up and close every single door just to make everybody settle down and go to bed. It's like we were just back and forth all night long. So my second time there, I walked in and my eyes went right to that stone. I've got to figure out who she is.
Right.
So I started digging, and I'm not finding anything with her name. Nothing is coming up. So I started digging into the person who did run the group home in the 1970s and was able to back up a few generations to at least confirm, all right, this woman is not connected to her. I was right about that. My second visit there ends with, again, not a lot of activity for me. And I'm starting to realize it's because I'm obsessed with figuring out who this woman is, whose name is on this memorial stone.
Right.
Now, my third visit there was a little bit different. I'm going to mention that my third visit there, I was only with one other person. And as we were entering the house, she fell coming up the steps.
Oh.
She was fine. I mean, she didn't even spill her coffee, but she fell coming up the steps. So we go in. I, again, look at the memorial stone. I'm like, I have got to figure this out. So I start going through the layers, starting at the beginning. I mean, when Jerome Bihl owned the house, and then next owners, Clarence and Daisy Wolfe. Right after that, there was a bed and breakfast. And when I saw that, that hit me really hard. So I start looking at the names of who owned the bed and breakfast. And I'm focused more on the wife than the husband. All right, I need to pick at this a little bit. I was able to go back to her mother and then her grandmother, Mary. So she was the grandmother of who was running the bed and breakfast, more like 1930s, 40s.
Right.
After I found that, I was able to find Mary's obituary. And it had mentioned how she'd passed away down the street at her daughter's house. One of the things it mentioned was that she'd been bedridden after a fall. The word fall got my attention. And it also mentioned that toward the last days of her life, she was strong enough and she found great joy that she was able to go sit out on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
So now the word porch gets my attention. Like, why am I even focused on that? Because she didn't pass away here. She was down there.
Right.
Like, there's something to this. Like, I'm going to go back another layer. So I start digging on the second owners of the house. And I find a detailed obituary for the wife. She'd passed away after the husband. And it mentioned her becoming bedridden after a fall on the steps right there at the house.
Right.
So it was really my friend falling up the stairs that finally led me down the right road to find out who she really was. And it was after that that I started to have experiences in the house. I mean, that night I woke up and my phone was being moved around on the nightstand.
Right.
And after that, my fourth visit is when I first started to connect with Howie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I couldn't get anything done. I couldn't make any connections until I figured out who that was, whose name was on that stone. And I may never know if that was because of her, or if it was because of me. If it was her standing in the way going, no, I really need you to figure this out. This is important. Or if it's just my own stubborn bullheadedness. When I step into something like that, I'm like, you ever try to take a bone away from a bulldog? It's not good. That's me. Whatever it was, it all worked out. Now we know who she is.
I think we're both kind of the same in that sense of the like, and I think that's like why that we investigate the way that we do, because there's a lot of things that happen that we can't let go of it. You know, we'll hear something like somebody's asking for help, or we'll latch on to something that we think is important, and it's like where sometimes people might just look at that as like, oh, that was a cool piece of evidence. Anyway, I'm going to move on. It's like we just really like, I don't know, we can't let go of it. It's like, no, I need to know what this is about. I need to know how I can help or whatever. And I think that's where you and I are the same in that sense.
Right. I mean, for me, she deserved to be known.
Right.
And
And we
then there
got
is a
that.
stubborn part of me that just does what it does.
And that's what was interesting too about, I think if you watch, so whenever, as you watch the series, and that's the thing is that like a lot of the way that we style our movies is that it really is a series in the sense that you can watch the video by itself and be okay, but at the same time you're not really going to get the full experience until you watch part 1, 2, and 3 in that succession. And I think what's cool is that if you watch part 1, then 2, and then 3. And part 1 is where we did the original tarot card reading, like we do for any investigation whenever we start, so we kind of have an idea what we need to look out for or anything. But yeah, if you go watch it part 1, 2, and 3, and then just go back to part 1 just for the sense of watching that tarot card reading again, you're gonna see that like the tarot card reading pretty much perfectly explains what happened in a sense, and that's why it's so weird in the sense that like that's what's so or cool about it, because that was before the investigation. Nothing had happened at that point. We literally just did it to be kind of like, hey, what do we need to look out for? What are we gonna possibly experience tonight? And it talked about like the stories that don't typically get mentioned or noticed by people. It's like there's something that's always missing whenever people go there, and they go with the things that are pretty famous with that house. There's the storylines that are missed, and
Right.
pretty much everything that we did revolved around that. Even the stories that were separate, like with helping Sadie up in the second floor, like that story, and then Howie and all that, like stuff that's typically missed. We were able to really dive down and get some answers behind it.
Right. I mean, even Anne with the connection of someone having had their funeral in the house. I mean, they may have never even been in that house.
Right.
There's just so many layers.
Right. And that's what's interesting too is like, and I think sometimes too, people, whenever they go into a location and it's like, you know, you hear about like, oh, well, this is what happened in this house. That's what is known to happen in this house. And it's like, it's not always how that works. Sometimes there are things that are connected out of some of the strangest reasons why they're there. And it's just because of the way that energy seems to leave an imprint on locations.
Right. Oh, for sure.
So it's just interesting that that the amount of layers that you can dive into in a location, and that's why I think when people are investigating, that's why you need to have an open mind to things. Like even if there's a name that comes up through one of your devices, and you're like, oh, that's not really a name that's associated with this house. I'm just gonna forget about it. It's like, no, don't forget about it. Like dive down that road. Like
Right.
because whoever comes through is who's either able to or willing to speak that day. Because sometimes too, like you might see where somebody goes into a location and they're like, I'm not really getting any of the names that are associated with this house, so I'm not really getting a lot of evidence. It's like, yes, you are. You're just like, they're the person that wants to speak. So what do they have to say? You're not going to get the same evidence every time you go to a location, and that's why it's like we've been to Fairfield. I've been to Fairfield. You've obviously been there way more than I have with you being the house psychic there and stuff. But like even for me, I've been there now 3 times for an investigation, and each time has been different. I've dealt with something different every time, and
Absolutely. And I,
that's just the way it goes.
that's one of the best locations I can use as an example for names. I mean, when I'm in my room there doing readings, people will come into my room and they'll say something like, "Hey, I just got the name Gertrude. Do you know anything about that name?" And I mean, my standard answer is either, "Yes, let me tell you what I've got," or I'll say, "No, I've never heard that here before, but I'm going to make a note of it," because knowing that there's 200 years of history there,
There's
mine's
so
just waiting
many
for it to come up
years.
again.
Right, there's so many years of history, and the other thing too is sometimes that names pop out isn't for the location, it's for the person. And you obviously know that with readings. I mean,
Absolutely.
and as like you carry your own energy, right? You carry your own energy, I carry my own energy. And so as you go to these different locations, those energies kind of mix and match. There's the ones that kind of stay with us, and then there's the ones that happen whenever you're there. It just depends. There's all kinds of there's literally a million possibilities into what could happen. So that's why you need to have an open mind when you go into a location, because you never know what to expect. And it's kind of like one of those things that, like, I feel like if you go into a location knowing what to expect, now you're missing the problem. Now that's the problem. Now you're going to
Right.
miss a lot of stuff because you're only looking for one particular thing. You have to be open-minded whenever you do this.
Right. And that's another very good point about the names, too, that sometimes the names that come through are not for the location, they're for the person. I mean, perfect example I can give of that is when I was filming the Sam and Colby episode at FCI
Right.
and the name Elizabeth came through. I'm like, oh, I think this is from the building. I get this name here all the time. And it's like, wait a minute. That's not the name. And it ended up not being from the building. So that's,
Right.
yeah.
Right. It's an interesting subject to talk about, because I think it's something that you see a lot in this industry. And um like, just again, how many times have we went to different locations, and like even multiple times, like we've been there more than once, and it's not always the same. And that's why it's like you got to keep your mind open. You got to be willing to go down that road. And that's what helped us in the Bill Manor episode. Like, there was, how many times could we have been like, that's not really associated with this place, so I'm going to kind of like leave it. And it's like, we wouldn't have gotten the answers that we got if we didn't do that.
Right. I mean, especially the whole third episode. I mean, we could have easily set that aside and said it's not connected here.
Right. And especially with the sense that, like, hell, some of the episode under the Estes method, we're even talking about things that aren't at that house at all. And that was like Lyde's connection to the what was it? It was like a women's
The
home, or
National Home for the Daughters of America in Tiffin.
that's yeah, that's what it was. And so we had Ed that was there. And again, for anybody that doesn't know Ed is the spirit of Ed Hetherington from the Belair House in Belair, Ohio. And we believe that he has a attachment to Gage Warrington, who's a good friend of mine. And he was with us for that investigation. And so, Ed was there. Ed he made a lot of appearances in the videos, as you've already seen, and he's not very nice to me, as some negative spirits are. That's why Christopher's laughing. He's very mean to me. But obviously Mary, knowing who Ed is because she has some connection with Lyde, was talking about, like, Ed kept coming through the Estes method saying, bring her here. And Mary's like, no, she wouldn't recognize you. Like, no, I'm not bringing her here. Like, you need to go away. And I'm sitting there like, there was at one point, actually, there was more than one point. There was a lot of points where, like, you're under the Estes method and I'm just asking questions, and I get a response, and I got like this big eyed, like, holy shit moment. Like, that didn't just happen. And also because, like, as far as like answers go, the thing that, like, I can say from the editing standpoint that people might not realize, a lot of that film that you're seeing isn't really broken down a lot. Like, there's not a lot of space in between when I say something and when you respond. That pretty much was me just switching back and forth between cameras. There wasn't really like I ask a question and then 5 minutes later you answer it. It's like, no, it was like bam, bam, bam. It was just answer after question. And that's how it's pretty much, even in the episodes that haven't come out yet. Since then, we've had a lot of investigations that have that same thing. And I know our number one fan, Kim Ashworth, who also, I'm happy to say, that she got to be our very first actual guest star on an investigation, and I feel so honored that she was able to do that, especially because she is by far our number one fan. But you can ask her, and she will tell you from being in person with us that that's just how it is. When we do the Estes method, it's like that. There's no pause. It's like a back and forth conversation, which is so incredible. It's
I'm
so
starting to
incredible.
realize more and more that when I'm under, what I'm really doing is channeling. I'm just purely channeling.
You
And I
do
mean,
because
sometimes you see, I just like go down. Sometimes I fall asleep.
you do. You basically you're like falling. It's like there was a point where I said something in this not in the Bill Manor, but in the episode that we shot last night at the Fairfield County Infirmary, with Kim when Kim was with us, and I said that I was like, "Oh, he's gone," like because you were like slumped over, like practically sleeping, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's not him." Like we're talking directly to the spirit at this point.
Yeah, then I come out of it, and the first thing is like, oh, my neck, because I'm always in an unnatural position.
Right? We need to get what we should start doing is those like neck pillows that people use. We ought to start just bringing one so that way when we put you under, just in case you go, you've got a nice little neck pillow so you're just like right there.
Well, I mean, that's not as bad as when it happened at Madison when I was like squatting down on the floor with my arm on that chair.
Oh, I know. And I'm excited for people to see that too. And I haven't actually even watched that footage quite yet. But the thing I want to pay attention to is because, like, in the mind you, it's pitch black. The only thing that I can see is through the little screen on the camera when I'm trying to pay attention because I had the one camera that was pointed towards me and the one towards you, and I'm like trying to pay attention to both. Like, can you see me good, or can you see you as well, like good as well? And I'm trying to pay attention, and all of a sudden I hear squeaking of a chair, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So I look at the camera and I see what looks like where your arm is on the chair and it's like kind of holding you up in a way. It's like it almost looked like the chair was moving. And it was like I couldn't quite tell in the camera if it looked like just you falling over was pushing the chair or if something was literally pulling it from underneath of you. I couldn't tell quite, but it looked strange as hell from in person. And again, because it's pitch black, I can't see what's really going on, but I can just see what's going on in the camera. And from that point of view, I was like, what is going on here? I couldn't tell if it was you pushing it just from falling over or it was pulling from underneath of you. I don't know, but it was interesting.
I don't know what it was, but I know that when I came out of it, my whole damn arm was cramped up and asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Estes method it's such an insane experience, and that's why it's like I'm excited for more and more people to kind of get to guest star on our investigations, or as we open up to do public events with us. I'm excited to do those because I think it's interesting. Like Kim, like the experience that she had with us the other night. It's it's so much different getting to experience it in person. When you're
Right.
in person, you can really see that the headset and everything is so loud. There's no way that you can hear me from across the room and stuff like that. And like again, just the fact that I'll ask a question and it's basically immediately afterwards is when I get an answer. There's practically no pause.
Yeah, I'm just gone. So gone that I don't even remember what happened afterward. I don't even remember what was said most of the time.
Right.
We did have one the other day that I stayed mostly present, and it was when it came through to look up, because I remember having a reaction for that after I said it. After I
Yeah.
said look up, I was like, oh God, what's up there?
Right. And I actually at the moment took that as like it was like the spirit that we were talking to was like telling me to do things. And at that point I was like, no, I'm not gonna just do what you tell me to do. Because that was very much what it was trying to do. It was trying to distract me in what we were doing at that point and the information that I was trying to get at that point. But yeah, it was really interesting. Which is like kind of shifts in the sense of like I'm so excited for this Saturday, and we make our very first Paracon appearance at the Crawford Paracon in Crawford County, Ohio. Super, super excited for that. Again, because we get to do the investigation afterwards. So all the people that are going to be at that investigation, um, please come see us because we're gonna have some pretty cool things that we're gonna do there, and I'm hoping that we can do an Estes method so that way people get to see that firsthand.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'm
And
excited for people to see how we do what we do because I know it's different.
it right. Everybody that we've ever had do anything with us have said that. That's not just coming from us. That's I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to say it because I really think that in the sense that I've never been a part of anything that quite does the things the way that we do it. So I'm confident in that sense. But at the same time, that's the biggest compliment that I think people pay us when they get to see what we do in person. They're like, wow, I've never seen anybody do things the way that you guys do. And I'm like, wow, that actually means a lot to me. That is so cool. And
Absolutely.
it's such an honor to have somebody say that, and that's why I'm so excited to have more and more people get to experience that in person. Because I don't even quite understand it at this point. There's things that we do that I, at this point, don't understand how we do it or how we get the answers that we do it. But it is cool that when we do it.
Yeah, it is.
But to continue about talking about the Crawford Paracon, we mentioned this the other day in a little bit of our, whenever we were thanking Kim for coming out and having that awesome experience with us. But a big announcement that I want to make again is Kim Ashworth, who again was our first special guest on one of our investigations. We have officially been sponsored by her, which is such an honor, and two, we officially have collaborated with her because she has her own business called Phantom Flame Candles. And let me tell you, I'm gonna show you one here in a second. One of her candles that she's made, but they are so beautiful. They're so cool, and you're definitely gonna want to buy these candles because A, they smell really good, and B, they look awesome because she does such an amazing job with this. But we have officially collaborated with her to make our own Crooked Path Paranormal line, and we're going to be debuting all of the current candles that are up for sale on the Crooked Path line this Saturday at the Paracon in Crawford County, Ohio. So anybody that is going to that Paracon, come see us at our table because we got some cool stuff like these candles that are going to be up for sale and we're going to be showing and doing with you guys. If you're not planning on going to that Paracon, change your plans right now. Whatever it is, go into your calendar, change the plan. Go to that Paracon because it's gonna be a lot of fun. Because I'm going to be there. So, but here is the candle. Here, I'm gonna kind of get it nice and close to the screen here. So if you can see that, that is a three-eyed cat that she has beautifully made, and I love it because it is our colors. It is the it is the neon green and black. It just to me this looks cool as hell. I don't care what anybody else says. This is cool. I love this, and this is just one example of the amazing things that Kim has cooked up for us over at Phantom Flame Candles, and I can't wait to see what she cooks up for us in the future. It's going to be so cool. I'm actually like ecstatic. And actually the reason that I'm not at my computer today, which is typically where I'm at for this, is because my entire computer area has been taken up by the candles that we're going to be selling on Saturday. So my desk is preoccupied at the moment.
Her creativity is just limitless. I cannot believe what she comes up with for candle design. She is so creative and just overall amazing in every way. One of my absolute favorite people on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. And for me, it was that like the other day was actually able to officially meet her. I had talked to her a few times, like over Messenger and stuff, and I could just tell from talking to her she was such a special person, and the way that she really supports like she is typically I don't even think typically I think she's just always the very first person that like likes, comments, shares our stuff. She is by far our number one fan and supporter, and I couldn't be more honored to have her as that. She's such an amazing person, and I can't wait to have her out again. It was such a cool experience, and whenever we're able to have her out, she is welcome at any time.
She's the best. I can't believe I only met her a few months ago. I mean, I feel like I've known her forever.
Right, right. Yeah, so it was so cool. But I definitely wanted to give a big shout out to Kim today because what she's been doing for us has been so awesome, and I am just over the moon and appreciative of all the things that she's done for us and our brand and helping us with this new candle line and stuff. I really think it's going to benefit her, and I think it's going to benefit us, and I just couldn't be more appreciative of the whole experience. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see where it goes in the future.
Absolutely.
Um, is there anything else that we need to really cover for today?
Let's talk a little bit about the event at Bill Manor as kind of a follow-up since none of that was filmed.
Yeah,
And now we've got all three parts of our investigation out there. I mean,
right.
I
That's
think it's worth mentioning that like next to nothing from our investigation came up that night. So we just had an event out there where I led a psychic arts workshop and then a seance, and then we led the investigation. And absolutely nothing from our filmed investigation came up there. I mean, Mary wasn't coming through. There was nothing about Sadie. There was nothing about Howie. There was nothing about Anne.
nothing. There was nothing there. Anything that was basically talked about in Bill Manor Part 1 through 3, there was nothing that was mentioned. And I'll tell you too, from my point of view about the event, A, actually getting to do some of the cool workshop things that you create and come up with for your events. I got to do them firsthand. It was really cool for me because I'm still new to this whole side of the psychic abilities that I possess. I'm still very new to those and still learning what they are and how to use them. So to get to do the workshop in the way that I did was so awesome. And also just same way with like Kim, there were some really awesome people that we got to personally enjoy the night with, and I got to meet and do the investigation with them afterwards, and it was such an amazing experience, especially for me in the sense that, you know, there was a lot of times where we would be doing we were doing the investigation, and or you'd be talking about something and they'd look at me and like, hey, I want to ask you about something, and I was like, oh wow, this is this is such an honor. Like I feel like this is cool. Like to be able to have that experience, especially with you, and this whole thing was to me such an honor. I can't be more appreciative of everything about that, and the people there were just so cool. I can't wait to see them again and get to experience more with them, which is why we didn't film that night, because I really thought it was more important to spend that event with the people and not have to worry about the stressors of filming and stuff like that. So I think we made the right choice in that because everybody seemed to have such an incredible night.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's amazing how this wasn't originally a Crooked Path event. I mean, I'd planned this before we even put this
Right.
together. And I mean, the way you just fit into that night and into the investigation and the way we just worked through things again and people got to see it was absolutely amazing. And I know for me, that was a huge source of inspiration going, oh, we need to be doing events.
Right, which is, moving forward, we're definitely going to start doing that in the sense that, like, before we went on camera, we was actually discussing couple different options for locations, for people to, like, for us to set up our very first event, which I'm so excited to kind of get it rolling. So we got a few places in mind as far as like options for where we're going to set up our first event. For We're definitely going to do it this year. We're going to get one in, at least one, before the end of the year. That is our goal. If we can get more than that, that'd be awesome. But we're going to at least do one.
Absolutely.
But I also want to throw out there to anybody that watches this, if there's a location that you really want us to do an event where we can come out and you guys can join us for the event and investigate with us, let us know in the comment section, or you can privately message one of us about it or whatever. Just get a hold of us about some ideas for some locations that maybe we could do an event, and we'll try to get it set up.
Absolutely. I mean, whether we've been there or not, I'm happy to go into a blind location that I've never done anything with and see what comes through.
Oh, for sure. Like I'll do it just about anywhere. I think even a location we haven't been before would be really cool because like there are no expectations for anything. It's just like this is just what we get.
Right.
Never been here before.
Right. Before we shift away from Bill Manor completely, I have to talk about the seance that night.
Oh yeah.
So first of all, there were some really amazing connections that came through for people. People's loved ones coming through. I'm not going to give the specifics about that because there were things that were just beautiful and personal.
Right.
But we did connect to a child who seemed to have been there at Bill Manor, possibly when it was an orphanage or whatever it may have been. His name was Len, and he appears to be somewhat feral. So we're connecting with him on the board, and every time he would bring the planchette up for yes or no, he made an effort to run it off of the board. Every single time. Always had to run it right off. And you could tell he found this to be deeply amusing. I mean, I've never connected to him before. So that was one funny piece of the seance. The other piece, we're coming out of what I remember to be a pretty emotional connection when all of a sudden the door opens.
Yes.
And this woman walks in. And I'm like, what? And right behind her, this guy walks in carrying 3 pizzas. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm watching these people walk in. My eyes are getting bigger. I know none of us ordered pizza because we'd all gone to dinner before the seance. Like, what is happening?
Right.
And then the lady says, oh, we bought tickets for you for the investigation. I'm like, oh, they bought them kind of last minute and I didn't know. When somebody just walks in and then the next person comes carrying the pizzas.
Carrying pizzas.
Is somebody delivering pizza? What is going on in the middle of my seance?
Yeah, it's like this typically isn't how this works. Like you don't just walk in the house with the pizzas you're delivering.
Right. There were so many questions.
Right.
But in the end, I'm so glad they were there. I'd never met either of them before, and they were awesome.
Right.
I'm so happy they were there. It was such a great night with a great.
They were amazing, and I think one of the coolest moments, like this just happened, but she had made a post and actually tagged Crooked Path Paranormal for being at the event, like, and so that to me was so cool, and that to me was like almost in a way, it's kind of like. For me, it's validation of like we like the experience that we got to do with them meant something to them, and for me, that's the most important thing because that is why we do what we do to help spirits and people, but like also just to connect with people on a personal level and get to share those experiences because the paranormal is such a cool community to be in, and that's why I really don't like it when I see all the arguing and stuff like that. And it's like nobody's things are 100% factual. You know what I mean? It's nothing that you can 100% prove. You know, we all have our theories. So it's really awesome whenever you get to see that sort of community and the fact that like when everybody's having a good time and you're connecting in a personal way. So that is why for me it was so cool that she did that. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a great surprise.
Absolutely. I also want to put out there real quick too, because there's probably some things that with the Bill Manor episodes that we haven't talked about that people might be interested about. And if there's anything that you are interested about the episode, please feel free to leave a comment somewhere about it and we'll talk about it. Anytime that we get a chance to answer your guys' questions on things that you might have, just reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to answer that, whether it's in a like leaving a comment, getting a hold of you, or again, just in a future podcast that we do. We'd love to answer those questions.
Speaking of comments, I was looking at comments yesterday. Did you see someone commented on one of our videos? We've got a subscriber from the Philippines.
I did see that. That was
That's so
so
freaking cool.
cool. That was so cool. I did. I like. We're international, baby.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that was so cool. I'm excited to keep that going. That was really cool.
I think I
Um,
caught someone from Canada in there too. So that's so cool.
yeah, I can't remember where that one was from, but I remember there was somebody. Oh, it was somebody that was on Facebook that actually they were one of the people that shared our YouTube link and tagged me in the post, so they're entered in to win the free investigation with us.
Right.
I shouldn't say free. I should say like expenses paid for, or is the way I should say it. But they're entered in to win that promotion that we're doing right now. So that was really cool when we was like, neither one of us obviously know this person because they're from Canada. So that was like a really cool moment that like this person that is really interacting with our page and sharing our stuff and really interested in this stuff is like not even somebody that's local. This is somebody that like we don't know personally. They're just a fan. So that was really cool for me. I love that. I love
That's
it.
so cool. I mean, we're both so grateful for all of our subscribers. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely. I know that's kind of like the thing that, you know, everybody says, you know, obviously, but I truly do mean it. I couldn't be more appreciative because this what we're doing right here, this is my dream. This to me is what I want to put all my time and effort into. So it's why it means so much to me. This is a dream come true that everybody that, you know, likes our stuff, subscribes to us. You're making my dream come true. So I really couldn't be more appreciative of that. Speaking of comments, though, I wanted to throw this out here because remember, somebody left a really good comment about one of the actually, I think it was our first podcast episode that we ever did. Somebody left a really good comment on that episode, and I responded to them basically in the best way that I could answer that question at the time without obviously like writing a whole book about it. But I told them in the reply that we're going to be doing an episode based off of that question, and the question was about a topic we were talking about psychic dreams. Like I have these moments where I'll have a dream about something and days, weeks, months, years later, that dream will essentially come true sometimes. And it's almost like a deja vu moment because I don't look at it as, oh, I know what's going to happen in the future. It's always like I have a weird dream. And then the moment it's happening, I'm like, oh, shit, I've seen this before. Like it's kind of like deja vu. I've seen this before in one of my dreams. So I know what this person's getting ready to say because I've already seen this before. And next Wednesday, when we do our next podcast episode, we are going to dedicate that entire podcast to answering that question and diving deep into that idea about what are these psychic dreams? Is it just simply lucid dreaming? What is it? So we're going to dedicate our next podcast episode directly to answering that comment. And again, I encourage anybody that has a comment or a question about anything that we do, please leave that somewhere that we're able to see that because I want to keep on answering questions. It's what I'm here for.
That's going to be so much fun next week. There's going to be rabbit holes everywhere.
Oh, right. I know. I'm actually gonna have to like do a little bit of research for that video, so that way I'm not like talking like an idiot.
It'll
But
all work out.
yeah, no, absolutely. But I think that pretty much covers it for what we wanted to talk about today. I think we pretty much got everything out that we needed to.
Yeah, I think so. Just once again, come out and see us Saturday, Crawford Paracon.
Absolutely. Crawford Paracon, it's going to be an amazing event. Anybody that's already either a vendor or going there, I can't wait to see you guys. Can't wait to experience some awesome things. If you're not going, change your plans because you're not going to want to miss it. And you're not going to
Right.
want to miss these awesome candles that Kim Ashworth made for us. You're not going to want to miss them.
Not only will we have the table and the candles and we'll be a part of the investigation, but I'll be giving a talk too. I'll be one of the last speakers of the day. So if you want to listen to me some more.
I'm going to be the one guy that I'm going to be in the crowd and I'm going to be like, talk about Crooked Path.
You'll be walking around and trying to sell people candles during my talk.
I'll be going around, buy my candles.
I still got to throw out there the comment I made the other night about you trying to sell t-shirts to someone I'm doing a reading for. You know, I'm well known for making people cry during their readings. And I can just see you being like, here's a t-shirt, buy a t-shirt. You can dry your tears with this t-shirt.
Right? Or I'd be sitting there, you'd be making somebody cry during your thing, and I'd be like, you know what always makes me feel better when I'm sad? Lighting a candle.
Oh
my.
Yeah, I think on that note, we're good.
I think we're good. I think we're good on that. So again, thanks everybody for coming out to listen to us babble for about an hour today. I can't wait to see everybody out Saturday and just in the future whenever we get to do stuff for you. Again, actually, real quick before we actually end it, again, if anybody is interested to be like Kim and be a special guest on one of our investigations, all you need to do is go to Facebook, share our YouTube link, and tag me, Noah Flynn, in that post, and you're going to be entered to win. We've already got a little bit of people in that, but I want to have more and more people have that opportunity to come hang out with us for a night. So please, if you're interested in doing that, please do that.
And when we hit that 250th subscriber, that's when we're going to do the drawing.
Absolutely. And then after that, we're going to have even some more cool contests we're going to run.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, be safe out there. Stay spooky in the haunted and the paranormal. And have a good night, guys.
See y'all next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.